Hello everybody and welcome back to Pokemon White 2. So, in the last part, we once again started exploring around the largest city in the entire universe region, Castelia City. And now as we continue our exploration, now for when you talk to this guy here, now he'll give you a fun fest. Now he'll give you access to a fun fest mission called Train with martial artists. And I'm gonna say this right now. I am not gonna be tackling a single one of these missions. Because the only way you can actually gain access, the only way that you can get started on these missions is if you activate with the Entra link. Yeah, and the only way you can access through the Entra link is through your Sea gear. Excuse me. Yeah, and and as you may know, I'm not gonna be bothering utilizing the Sea gear whatsoever, so. Yeah, so again, I'm not going to be bothering tackling any of the FunFest missions whatsoever. Yeah. But, anyways, everyone. Now we have this building again, which I believe is definitely the same building where there is like a big party in. Yeah, now, where you can talk to lots of people in there. And also, if you recall, during the prequel series, there were several characters that you can talk to, but however, they only spoke in a different language. So if you didn't like understand the language, then it would be kind of hard for you to just be able to just chat with them. But now, within the sequel titles, now some of these characters will start talking in a different language. Then after that, then they will start talking to you properly in your language. See? Yeah, like what you're seeing. I'm sure right now. So yeah, I would say that is definitely a much needed change that they did. So, at the very least, they can not only utilize their own language, but also the language that also the language that you're from too. So, yeah, at the very least now, you can actually understand what these characters were just talking to you about. Yeah. Excuse me again. Okay, so anyways, yeah, since I am just gonna be talking to these people here, now once again I may as well continue with the Pokemon anime appearances. Okay, so next up on our list is Coughing. Now, Coughing definitely got a plentiful of major appearances during the Kanto series because, well, the obvious character. Because an obvious character utilized one. but then after his Coughing evolved, yeah, that's when Coughing in general just stopped making appearances for the longest time. But that was until the Hoenn anime, the Hoenn anime actually started to bring back Coughing, but however, Coughing wasn't showing up that much. Yeah, and the same also applies to the And the same also applies to the Sinnoh series as well. and even though, and then coughing. Oh, excuse me again. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me right now. Okay, so anyways, everyone. Anyways, everyone. Now, then coughing only made for who only got like one major appearance, who only got like one like major appearance within the universe series. Well, that's because that one major appearance of coughing was indeed utilized by the same gym leader who we just recently defeated. Now that of course being Roxy, yeah. And then coughing didn't exactly show up didn't show up once for either the Kalos or the Lola series. But then coughing got like only a few appearances and journeys. And I think it only got one appearance during Horizons. So in general, yeah, coughing hasn't really shown up, that much. Yeah. Oh yes, right. Now as we're seeing on screen. Now, if we just happen to encounter at least some 40 like a Pokemon, then that guy would give us something good. And I mean something good, considering the item that we're going to be getting from that guy is definitely an item that I'm definitely going to be placing onto one of my Pokemon. Yeah, and you're definitely going to see who that is once we've actually gained access. Once we've actually gained access to that item. Yeah. Okay. And so now on to the next Pokemon is indeed our one of our new team members, Growlithe. Now Growlithe has been showing up very often within like every series. Or should I say in almost every series, is because there is in fact one series where Growlithe does not show up even once. And that series is actually not the Universe series. Now the series that I am actually referring to is the Kalos series. That's alright, everyone. The Kalos series is where Growlithe does not show up even one time. Yeah. Now, I would say that is definitely quite a big shocker now, isn't it? Yeah, whereas Growlithe shows up at least once within every other series aside from the Kalos series. Yeah. But anyways, everyone. Now as for Woobat. Now after the Universe series, now Woobat did show up at least a few times, only like twice so within the Kalos series. And while it didn't exactly show up, it did not show up one time within the Alola series. And even though it didn't get while it did get a free U episodes within Journeys, and it has only gotten like 2 appearances within Horizons. So yeah, Woobat outside of the Universe anime, yeah, doesn't exactly get that much. Woobat doesn't exactly get that much. yeah, Woobat doesn't exactly get that much screen time within the other series. Yeah, and it is honestly, yeah, I would say it's honestly a darn shame that it has to really come to that. Oh yeah, that's right. Now we also get this too. Yeah, now if you recall, during the prequel series, where we have this stall that sells you like Casteliacones, and the only time that you can actually get one, like even just one, would only. I think it was only on Tuesdays when the Casteliacones were only going to be available to you. Is because as this woman said, yeah, the Casteliacones were very popular. Now, hence why there were so many people in line waiting just so they could get themselves the Casteliacones. Well, however, yeah, things have really died down when it comes to like Casteliacones. Yeah, meaning that for within the sequel series, meaning for within the sequels, you can actually get a Casteliacones for whenever you feel like it. So yeah, I would say that is definitely a much more better improvement over what you had to go through within the prequel titles. Yeah, now where you essentially have to wait for like where you can only get Casteliacones once within the week. Oh yeah, and now we have the artwork building. I remember this place because the guy who asked me to draw a certain Pokemon type, that being this guy, who said that he wanted me to show off a freaking dragon type, where and to my point, we did not get access to any single dragon types. Like, jeez. Like, come on. Do you really have to be that stingy? Like, good grief. Why a freaking dragon type already? Jeez. But thankfully this time he has asked us for us to show him a steel type Pokemon. And since we actually have a steel type on our team, yeah, now we can actually choose one of these berries to get from him. So yeah, that is definitely a much more better, I would say that's definitely a much more better improvement over what we had to go through last time. Yeah. A much more better improvement, man. Okay, everyone. And now everyone. Now, once again, it is back inside. Now we're gonna begin ourselves back into the Battle Company building. Now, here we have once again the same janitor who we actually faced off against last time. But however, we are not exactly we're going to be facing off against him this time around. But instead, we are going to be facing off against another person entirely. But however, a major change, what you're seeing here too, is that, yeah, now within the prequel titles, if you actually defeated the janitor, yeah, then that's when you would be able to get yourself the experience share. Whereas in the sequel titles now, the janitor just gives you the experience share as soon as you actually as soon as you enter the building. Yeah, again, characters just give you stuff a lot more, because the characters actually giving you important items were much more like earlier. Yeah, it's definitely a much more better improvement over than what we got within the prequel titles. Oh yes, everyone, and as you can also see as well, now that Harlequin that you are seeing right now, it is in fact the same Harlequin who is involved with the Harlequin hunt. Yeah, now if you heard that jingle, which means that you have in fact found one. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Now since I am just gonna be finding all these trainers again. Yeah, once again, it is time for me to go back into the Pokemon anime appearances. Okay, everyone. So next up is Magby. Now, Magby, in general, yeah, still doesn't get that many appearances. Well, yeah, especially during the series that it debuted in. Yeah, that of course being the Johto series, where Magby only showed up only like one time. Yeah, around the end of that series. Yeah, and it didn't show up within a Pikachu shorts. Yeah, that was really about it for Magby when it came to the Johto series. And then Magby started to show up at least a few more times within the Hoenn series, but still not a whole lot. And the same also applies to the Sinnoh series. But I definitely know at least for one major appearance that Magby got. Yeah, and it was during the episode where we actually got to see Bertha, where we actually got to see Bertha of Sinnoh's Elite Four. Yeah. And then Magby didn't show up once within the entirety of the Unova and the Kalos series. And then Magby got to show up only like one time during the entirety of, I want to say Magby only showed up like only once during the entirety of not only the Alola series and also Journeys. But then Magby got a few more appearances within Horizons. So again, Magby hasn't really yet to this day. Magby still doesn't get that many major appearances in the series. Yeah, and it's honestly and it is honestly and I would say it is honestly a darn shame because I really do like Magby's a Pokemon. Yeah. But anyways, now let's see what you got. Brittany? Oh, a Budew, eh? How's it going? Yeah, now this is definitely the first time that we've ever seen a Budew within the Unova games. Now I'm gonna be talking about Budew's brand new sprite. Now, as you saw, yeah, not only is a Budew very well active, active with its animation. And just so alike with from Magby. Yeah, Budew is also a big jumper too. Yeah, yeah, both Magby and Budew really do love jumping. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, Now let's see what you got. Warren? Oh, and Marill too. Hey, how's it going? Alright, and now this is also definitely the first time that we've seen a Marill within the within the Unified games. Now as you can see, Marill essentially utilizes the same sprite that it got from like Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Whereas when it comes to the animation for Marill, where as you've been seeing, yeah, Marill apparently really loves to bend over to like really loves to bend over to the sides. While constantly moving its arms, while it constantly moves its arms around. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, Marill just really loves moving its arms around. While occasionally, bending over to the sides. Yeah. Okay, now, anyways, everyone. Now I'm gonna be talking about our next Pokemon encounter, about our next Pokemon on the list. If this guy just so happens to have a Pokemon that we have found already seen. Yep, and it is indeed a Pidove. Okay, so next up is Grimer. So Grimer. Now, during the Kanto series, yeah, starting with the Kanto series, yeah, and even to this day, especially during the early portions of the anime, Grimer didn't exactly get that many appearances, like, whatsoever. Yeah, especially during its debut series. Yeah. And then Grimer I believe it didn't get any appearances within the Unova and also the Akalos series. And then even though the Alola games did give us an Alolan variant of Grimer, but however, Alolan Grimer still only got one appearance, and that only during a flashback. Yeah, a freaking flashback is the only time that you will ever see it in a Alolan Grimer. Yeah, it's honestly a darn shame to essentially waste an Alolan variant. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, now as you can see, yeah, now we're ready to face off against the brand new head of the building, and he actually now starts off with an Eevee. Yeah, as you can probably tell, which means, yeah, meaning that of course you can actually gain access to the Eevee and it's Eevee. And all of its evolutions this time around. Well, actually, I would say only 5 of them within this time. It's because, well, even though you can get access to Leafeon and Glaceon, but however, if you want to actually evolve your Eevee into Leafeon or Glaceon without even having to bother to trade, or to without to trading from someone else, then you actually have to wait until we get to post-game. Post-game is the only time where you can actually evolve your Eevee into Leafeon to evolve your Eevee into Leafeon or Glaceon. So yeah, that is certainly not exactly a major improvement, you know, when it comes to getting Leafeon and Glaceon. Yeah, considering, well, for those of you who recall, like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, yeah, you could not level up, you could not evolve Eevee into Glaceon or Leafeon within Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Yeah, you actually had to trade it to the Sinnoh titles, then evolve them there. Yeah. Yeah, again, this isn't really that much of an improvement when it comes to if you want to utilize either a Leafeon or Glaceon. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, now back to Grimer. Now, as I said, even though Grimer still doesn't get that many appearances in the anime, but I will say, Grimer definitely got the most appearances in like any series, and that was definitely Journeys. Yeah, because a Go-Con one, and it did show up, not a whole lot, but it did show up at least a few times. Yeah. And lastly within Horizons, Grimer has once again only shown up shown up a few times. But as everyone, we shall continue on for the next part. And so till then, I'll see you guys next time.